everybody, what is going on? It's your girl Keisha. Welcome to the show Undeniable Keziah, so undeniable. Alright, so we are going to be speaking about Alec Baldwin and Willie Taylor from day 26. Okay, we're going to save him for last. I definitely have something to say about his situation. But let's start with Alec Baldwin first, because Alec Baldwin is a trending topic. His case is a hot topic right now. It is something serious, and a lot of people are upset, hurt, and distraught because what happened on his set could have been avoided. So Alec Baldwin was on his movie set named Rust, okay, in Santa Fe, New Mexico. During rehearsal, he was handed a gun by another producer, but it was considered a cold gun. He was told the gun was cold. Now that's gun code for it wasn't a loaded gun. So he thought it was appropriate to pick up the gun, okay, aim it at one of his crew members, pull the trigger, okay, and that's how she ended up getting killed. The person who's now dead is a cinematographer by the name of Halyna Hutchins, okay. She was just 42 years old. She was behind the camera when this went on, so she was working and the bullet hit her. She didn't even see it coming. But other crew members, check this out, other crew members knew that this could have been a possibility, because they walked their ass off set. Many of those members quit. Many of them walked off set because they complained about gun safety on the set, because they had 2 guns went off on set already. They had made complaints to the production crew and they did nothing about it. They totally ignored and dismissed the complaints. Even with the COVID, the mask, people were just unsafe and weren't following proper protocols. They wasn't keeping the set safe for other workers to be comfortable to provide service and do their job. So people walked off set, and then recently there was another shooting. So there was 2 shootings, I believe, that occurred October 16th. There was another shooting that occurred too as well on that set. So you had all these complaints, all these concerns, and they did nothing. The number one word that comes to me is negligence. Okay, I feel like everybody, from the producers even to Alec Baldwin, you guys are all negligent, because this could have all been avoided. This could have all been avoided, and this is why you cannot play around with guns. And as I'm learning, gathering information from this case, a Hollywood firearm consultant by the name of Brian Carpenter, he definitely tore into Alec Baldwin and said, listen, he was supposed to be competent on what was going on. He's a producer. He has to make sure he also provides safety and knowledge of what's going on his very own movie set. There should have never been a loaded gun on set. And he says that even though a gun is loaded, it's not loaded, it's always loaded. Let's just say you playing around and there's gunpowder and there's gas in the gun, that it could definitely cause damage, and that could also end in fatality too as well. So this is what he is saying. These are people that are professional in guns, in weapons, in armory, and if they're telling us this is what's going on, then we shouldn't play around with guns, loaded or unloaded. This also reminded me, when I first heard this story, this reminded me about Brandon Lee, okay, Bruce Lee's son, and on the movie Crow, which was a good movie. I've seen the movie Crow. It came out in 1993, but he died on set due to another prop gun, which was loaded, but it wasn't supposed to be loaded. But I guess there's some conspiracy theories behind that. They said that it was intended for him to die. Same thing with his father's death, Bruce Lee. But this reminds me of that case too. Also, remember the series Tiger King? Crazy ass Joe Exotic with his 2 gay lovers. One of his lovers was a young LA boy by I believe his name was Justin, and you could see there was a scene in the show where one of the workers was sitting down and Justin was playing around with the gun, and the guy said, please be careful, don't play with that gun, don't play. He's like, no, but it's not loaded, I'm just having fun, don't worry, it's not loaded. And boom, the gun went off. Boom, the gun went off. He was dead. Some people believe that he knew the gun was loaded and played off like he didn't know, like he wanted to commit suicide. But then some people feel like it was just a total accident, it was a tragedy, and he didn't know. it's either he thought the gun was loaded, or he felt the safety was on the gun, and it was not, okay? And he ended up shooting himself to death. So that's also, it's crazy because he was young, but people cannot play around with guns. So he's gonna be charged with negligent manslaughter, and that could land him in prison for about 18 months. Now, Alec Baldwin was about 63 years old, so I don't know how he will hold up in prison, but at the end of the day, you know, he has to take accountability. He said he is working with investigators. He is working with authorities. He is in contact with Hutchins' family, her husband, her 9-year-old son. I remember when I was in New Orleans and I went to a gun range, and them guns was loud. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? It was loud, and the pop, 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 pop. I'm just like, wait a minute now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a fan of guns, but I know people use it for protection. Of course, when you go to war, you know, you use guns, and so I totally understand that. But you know, and I was doing my thing now. I was aiming. I was doing my thing when I was practicing shooting, but I was very careful because I know the countless accidents and tragedies that happen behind the usage of guns. One black woman, she was an inspiring actress. I forgot what state she was in, but she died. She was killed by a gun, a bullet piercing through her own apartment wall, because her neighbor was next door to her cleaning his gun, and then the gun went off. The gun went off. It's just like, dude, I mean, unload your gun, then you clean your gun. Why are you cleaning your gun with it being loaded? I hope this situation with Alec Baldwin is a lesson to you. It's definitely a lesson to me, because there's some things I didn't know. You know, because like some you do think that when you have an unloaded gun, oh, it's not loaded, you could play with it, and you could just play a badass and dress up and, you know, and act out a movie scene. No, because loaded and unloaded, that gun is still loaded. So you have to be careful how you handle guns, period, especially if you're not a professional behind gun usage. I would definitely look out to see any more updates behind Alec Baldwin, but this is not looking good for him. He could definitely face some time in prison, and like I said, you did the crime, you gotta do the time. So let's see, you guys, this is a crazy story, and I wasn't expecting that, but people have warned them and they totally disregard. So people have been reaching out to Russ Movie Production, because that's the name of the company that was filming, and they have nothing to say. They haven't responded, and it's like, well, you got to say something, because you owe people answers. People want to know how and why was a loaded gun on set. Someone has to take accountability for that, don't you think? Even when a gun is not loaded, it's still loaded. Keep that in mind. That could save your life and those around you, all right? So let's move on to day 26, Willie Taylor. Oh my goodness gracious. So Willie Taylor up and left his wife and his 4 children. Not 1, not 2, but 4 babies. So he left all of them. He's in Arizona, shirt off, got his melanin popping and letting the sun kiss him. And he was just explaining that he had to leave because he said the situation back home with his wife was way too toxic. And oh man, this is really tough, because maybe he's getting flack, maybe he's getting a lot of backlash for making that decision. When it comes down to your mental health, right, it's so important, because if your mental health is not intact, you can't function in life. It's almost like you're not even living. You cannot function properly in life when your mental health is distraught. When it's affected, you can't function properly in life. So sometimes I understand that you need to get away from a toxic situation. But I don't know the situation with his wife. He didn't go into much details about his wife and exactly what transpired for him that led him to Arizona to get away from his family. But he says that if his wife needs money and his children need money and so on and so forth, he got them. The love is still there. That hasn't gone nowhere. But he had to break up because he felt like if he didn't leave, he would die. Did you guys hear what I said? He said he felt like he would die. I'm like, well, damn, is that serious, huh? It really makes you wonder what the hell went on in that house. What's going on? So I don't know if she was giving that man a hard time, driving him crazy. And some people will drive you crazy to the point where you got to break out. You got to peace out. That's totally understandable. But Mr. Willie, you took a vow, right? You took a vow, okay? To love, to honor, till death do your part, through the good, through the bad, through sickness and in health. All right, so you took those vows with your wife Shonda. You took those vows, you married her, you know, you guys share 4 children together. So at the end of the day, it's like, I get that you're probably hurting and you need to separate yourself, but when you have children involved, it shouldn't be that easy to get up and leave, because at the end of the day, it's not about her, it's about your children, and your children needs you. I hope this don't end in divorce. The children need him more than she needs him. So I care about the children. I care about the babies. That's who I care about, because I don't want them to miss out on their dad. They need to physically be around their dad. They need to emotionally have their dad. They need to financially have their dad, you know, because even if you can't provide for your children financially, they need to physically be around you, because you're missing out on moments that they're having. Basketball games, dance recitals, singing recitals, you know, something that they learn, evaluating in. So you need to be part of all these different things. You shouldn't just give up. But again, I have to be fair with him too, because if your health is at stake, then you can't be any good to anyone else. But I just hope that this is not a permanent situation. I hope he can get his ass back over there to his wife and his children, because they do need him. But it's sad that a lot of people go through trauma and go through all this toxicity, and people don't understand. People quick to judge, and people are quick to come at them and want to choke them out, but you're not in their shoes. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't know if people are being physical. You don't know if people were fighting, you know, accusations going around. You don't know what's going on in people's lives. You don't know. We're not in their home to know what the hell is going on. But at the end of the day, if she was being very toxic to him and being a pain in his culo, then I could totally understand why he probably upped and left, because the scriptures even tell you that it's better to dwell in the wilderness than to keep house with an angry and mean woman. That's how bad it is. If it's so bad with your wife, then you got to break out. Like I said, I can understand that, but it's harder for me to say, okay, yeah, this is the perfect decision to make because there's children involved. If it was just him and her, then it's like, okay. But since there's children involved, it's like, damn, you have to work together. You cannot make one life miserable. It's not fair. You can't be selfish. You can't be miserable. You can't be unhappy. You have to make sure that your husband is happy, your wife is happy, you guys are working together, you guys are, you know, uplifting each other, you guys are building and growing with each other. It shouldn't be that shouldn't be depleted. That should be increasing. And a lot of people, when they get married, all this stuff comes their way, you know. And sometimes people allow Satan to get the best of them too as well. You can't let Satan win. You can't let the evils and bad energy win. There's a lot of demons, a lot of evil spirits, a lot of evil bad energy roaming around. You don't know who's watching you. You don't know who may envy your marriage, who may envy what you have, and they come, and these powers come and they linger around, and it's like they attack your marriage and attack your union, and you go your way, she goes her way. No, you guys have to fight that. You take a vow, you fight till death do your part. So Willie, again, please carry your ass back to your wife, okay? Get yourself together, brother. But please do not stay too long away from your wife and children, okay? Because that could make the situation worse. Get yourself together, okay? If you have to go get another apartment, fine. Okay, you have to separate from your wife for a little bit, fine. But definitely still come around for the sake of your children. They physically need you there. They have to see you. They have to be around you. You don't want to miss any moments with your child, because those moments pass. You can never get them back. Leave a comment down below about Willie Taylor, and do you think he did the right thing up and leaving his wife? Should he go back to her, or should he stay away? And what do you think about Alec Baldwin? Leave a comment down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and comment for some more. All right. Peace.